So welcome back to section 3, and now we're looking at the last way, the third way that we change from pain to pleasure. And by changing our painful choice inside our mind at the level of spirit, we change from pain to pleasure. So how do we change our painful choice? And in this diagram you can see that our choice for pain is in the middle. That signifies it's on that level that's beyond the body, the level of the mind or spirit. So the thoughts we have, all the negative thoughts we have, are really useful, and the purpose of them, the purpose of everything really that happens to us, is to allow us to go back within our mind and find out what choice we have made there, what beliefs are going on, what thoughts are happening on that level, so that we can make a different choice. Our feelings, again, our feelings of upset and hurt, anxiety and tension and stress are all helpful. Point us back, point us towards our mind to see what stressful, painful choice we're making there. And our actions, if they're motivated by fear, if they're motivated by lack of not having enough, then those are a great indication as well to use to look back our belief in lack and not having enough, our belief that we have separated from having everything. So let's look at the motivation for change, because our pain gets less every time we are willing to let go of our choice for fear. Every time we are willing to go back inside our mind and look at that choice for pain inside our pain gets less. In fact, the whole process of going back within our mind becomes pleasurable for us. And the second bit here is pleasure comes from realizing there's another choice. There's a choice for pleasure, there's a choice for love, there's a choice for happiness. Pleasure comes from changing the purpose of our thoughts and our feelings and our actions so that they take us inwards, that they point us to the real problem, which is a choice for fear. That becomes pleasurable, that becomes fun, that becomes a purpose for anything that happens to us in the day, any circumstance that comes up. That's our motivation, to use the thoughts and our feelings and our actions for a different purpose. Pleasure is undoing pain. And you can see in this diagram that we're using the pain, the painful thoughts, the painful feelings, the actions based on fear and lack. We're using them to get back inside our mind and look at the painful choice we're making. So pleasure is what happens in the arrows. It's the arrows that are pleasurable. It's a process of having a different purpose for absolutely everything that happens to us. Every thought we have, every feeling, every action we're taking, we're looking at those in a totally different way. We're using them in a pleasurable way. And it doesn't seem pleasurable at the start, but we'll learn when we do it for a short while how pleasurable it is using our whole life for a totally different purpose. A purpose that is pleasurable in the ultimate sense, because we're returning to our mind and undoing the pain that's in our mind. And what could be more pleasurable than that? Because once the pain is gone, all that's left is pleasure. Because we are a loving being, and we've covered that up with our thoughts that are painful, our thoughts that are untrue. And once we undo and look at all the pain that's covering our pleasure, all we have left is pleasure. Then we don't have to come up with any pleasurable thoughts. We don't have to create anything that's loving, because all that's left is pure love, and pure love will have a replacement, have an inspiration, have an inner knowing of what to do and say in any situation. Then we're totally free. Pleasure is undoing pain. Pleasure is seeing that every time I experience betrayal, I have a chance to undo the belief I betrayed love. I personally think that's beautiful. That betrayal, when we experience it in this world, is a beautiful opportunity to realize that betrayal is within our mind. That we wouldn't really have experienced the situation as being a betrayal unless we had the thought of betrayal in our mind. We wouldn't really ever experience anyone letting us down, ignoring us, or whatever, doing anything to us unless we had the same belief within our mind. And therefore, we're thankful of all those situations that bring up an experience that's painful, because it allows us to become aware of something that we were unconscious of, that we'd forgotten, and therefore we can go back and have a look at that. Pleasure is taking responsibility for all my bad feeling experiences and using them to gently laugh at my mistaken choice for fear. And what this brings into it really is the process becomes pleasurable, it becomes fun, it becomes a way that we can laugh at our mistakes, laugh at our mistaken choice, gently smile at what we're really doing in our mind and seeing that it's silly. It's crazy, it's mad, but it's also silly. And when that kind of joy comes in, when that lightness comes in, that we're able to smile at our painful inner choice, then that's how undoing pain becomes pleasurable. We're able to have a lightness in the whole process. We kind of know the outcome will always be that we're loving beings. Will always be that if we look at the pain and go deep enough into it and really see where it's coming from and what it's about, that the result will always be pleasure and love, will always be an experience of who we truly are. And so we're never frightened or fearful of the process. And as I say, it actually becomes pleasurable. Pleasure happens when I stop judging others and myself. Pleasure happens when I stop taking actions that separate me from myself and other people. Pleasure is all that's left when we stop the choice for pain.